Alright, so today I'm going to try and analyze this game I played earlier today. This game, what I thought was a ranked game, actually ended up being a normal game. Thank the Lord, because I lost it, obviously. But I wanted to take a look at it to see what ended up happening here, because I don't fully understand what the source of the problem was this game. I want to go back in and take a better look at it. So I'm playing Trundle here. Trundle and the Gangplank's a fine matchup. It ends up being a fine matchup most of the time, unless you get camped really hard. Luckily, I didn't. Udyr actually showed some good pressure top lane because Gangplank has a pretty weak early phase. Gangplank and Trundle both run top. Sona and Twitch and Talia are all kind of positioned around the same. Blue side is just positioning around red buff, which is, I think, odd because Kayn starts Raptors normally. Udyr starts blue side, which is pretty standard. So everything's pretty standard. We didn't really have anything weird going on early. I'm actually going to turn Fog on for us. He ends up getting really far ahead here because of bottom lane, I believe. Or he invaded Udyr a couple times, I'm not entirely sure. But I could probably have played this game better, and I'm trying to look for reasons why. Or what I did wrong in the laning phase, things like that. Excuse me, I just woke up. So I go into lane here, I see Gangplank. I know he doesn't start E, so I have the pushing advantage against him because I started Q. So I give it a couple autos to push it into a better position. Take the quick trade with Conqueror. Make sure to get that last auto in, otherwise I'll lose the trade. Accidentally don't walk into the brush because I'm an idiot, but you know. Ends up working out okay in the end. Especially with Trundle passive. I'll heal up enough. I have Second Wind and Revitalize here in order to get the bonus healing on my passive, W, ult, as well as to help with the D-Shield. Second Wind combo against Gangplank Q harass. Ends up working out pretty okay. Gangplank and I both figure out that I win these trades pretty handily, even with just a Q and an auto versus his Q. I win that pretty easily. Position up towards the bushes in case Gangplank comes into melee a creep. I can take an auto with him and then move back into a brush really quick. But he zones himself by queuing all the creeps. I go for a trade here. I actually give up the cannon for that trade, so that was really fucking stupid on my part. I think I gave up a cannon and like 2 or 3 creeps to do that trade. I didn't even realize that at the time. That's really bad. Gangplank bases here at 3 minutes, which is fine for me. He's going to go buy a mana crystal for his Sheen. I'm going to push this in. So right now I'm up 10 CS. And then he's going to clear that wave under the tower fine. When I come back to lane, we should be about even. Udyr tried something mid there. Didn't end up pulling anything off, but gave it a shot. We see Kayn there on the plant. See Kayn pathing to bot side, even though none of his camps are up, assuming he started bot side. So it's a little bit odd. So the only inclination I have there is that he's wrapping around to wolves, but it doesn't look like that's the case. Because I know he didn't end up coming top lane much. So I go back, I buy Corrupting Potion, second item. D-Shield helps with a lot of sustain. Corrupting Potion will basically make Gangplank's Q harass negligible throughout the entire course of the game. So I don't really have to worry about it anymore, and I think it's worth the 500 gold in order to stay in lane all the time. Also allows me to have extra mana for W and E because they're fairly high mana costs for Trundle's low mana pool. I think Conqueror here actually might have been a mistake. I think Grass might have been better. Or I think a more health-oriented build based on their team comp. Because they don't have basically any percent max health damage, except for Kaisa and a little bit on Kane. I think going more health oriented would have been better rather than the armor build I ended up going with. I don't know why we just got a Talia voice line in top lane. I heard it in game too, and I have no idea what's going on with that. I don't know if it's like the Karthus Global Eagle bug like it used to be. I see Gangplank basing here and try to stop him, because I don't know if he's going to go back and try to buy Sheen right now. I don't do very well dodging barrels this game. I see Udyr coming top, I hear him pop Ghost, so I go in. And with the red buff slow, I eventually get into flash for the Q slow. Ends up being an okay gank. We traded Flash and Ghost for Flash and a kill, which is... I'll trade Flash for Flash on Gangplank and Trundle any day. Trundle definitely gets the advantage there because of Pillar and Frozen Domain. Especially prior to Phage on either of us. Trundle has that advantage. Once Gangplank has Phage on his barrels, it's a little bit harder. I hit level 6 here, Gangplank's to level 5, and running back to base now. I try to push in as hard as I can because it's a cannon wave and might as well push. Especially since I want a base here after this. At this point, the score is 1-1, which is fine. Zona got killed early by Morgana and Kaisa in the 2v2. I go back to base here because I don't really have a reason to stay. Especially with where the creeps are, I'm just too open to getting ganked by Kane. So I TP bot here because I see they're both fairly low. I go for Kaisa first because honestly I see her as more important. And I'm level 6 to their level 4. Sona in chat here told me that Morg has no sum, so I just go in for the kill. I died to Kane here, unfortunately. That got Kane pretty far ahead because he got a 500 gold bounty, which is really unfortunate for me. He has blue spine already. So here at this point I've bought Tabi. I bought Tabi right before I teleported. And now I have a Ruby Crystal and a Longsword because I'm going into Phage first item because I need Phage to keep up with Gangplank's movement speed on his barrels and on his passive. Udyr moves into the jungle here. And I think he gets pushed out kind of hard. I don't think counter jungling with a Katarina and a Twitch Sona lane is very much of a good idea. He blast plants out and it ends up being okay. I just stopped some barrels there. I gave up 2 creeps in order to keep the barrels from exploding. So I lost 20 gold to keep the health, which I think is worth it in the end there. I'll give up 1 creep to not get barreled. I don't know where Gangplank ended up going. I think he bases here. Go by Phage parts? I don't remember exactly what he bought here. I go down to kill Scuttle Crab because I don't really have much else to do. I don't want to keep pushing into that tower because I didn't have Vision of Cain much. Yeah, Gangplank ended up basing here, and he went. Yeah, he did go and buy Phage parts like I thought. So now we see that the blue buff is spawning. Udyr wants to gank top, but I don't think it's in a good position, so I just ping the blue buff and say, let's kill the Gromp, let's kill the blue buff, take the XP and gold away from Kane here. Especially since Udyr's still level 5 and I'm level 7, I'm far enough ahead that I don't have to worry about missing a few cannon or a few creeps worth of XP. Yeah, I don't know what this Talia bug is, I'm sorry. So I let Udyr take the blue buff, and because I don't really need it, I'm Trundle. Gangplank pushes without any vision on the river. Especially given where Udyr was, it was kind of a bad idea on his part, so I go up and collect the free gold. I get a really nice pillar there. Udyr gives me the kill, which is really, really nice. In hindsight, I maybe should have given it to him because I was already 3-1, so I was already far enough ahead to be able to 1v1 Gangplank at basically any situation. But we go to take first tower here. We're going to see Kane come in here, and I almost end up killing Udyr. We see Kane on the ward, so we know where he is. He's about at Gromp now, and now he's about at the Tribush. He shows up, and I almost fucking kill Udyr with that pillar. I meant to throw it in between them. Udyr ended up living, thank the Lord. Would have felt really, really bad if I fucked that up. Gangplank TP's back in, so I'm just going to base here because I have no mana. I believe I ended up buying Phage and a dagger here. I didn't end up buying Phage here. Okay, so I didn't buy Phage. I see Udyr getting attacked by Kane, so I end up walking towards him. I hope Cat will be able to collapse on him too and or kill him before I get there. I don't think she does. Yeah, he ends up just eating out with his wall walking. Umbral Trespass, I think it is. No, that's his ultimate. I don't remember the name of his E. I want to call it Shadow Step, but Gangplank gets a pretty easy few barrels. I miss up a lot of fucking CS here. Pretty unfortunately. Yeah, I missed 3 creeps out of those 2 waves, which is just rough. Obviously, you can always farm better in silver. You can always do better on farm. I only see 1 creep left, and I'm not worried about dying. I'd rather just put pressure onto Gangplank. I cancel a billion fucking auto attacks there. I think I counted 3 or 4 I just canceled. I go to fake a ward so that Gangplank doesn't call for pings as much. I decide to go for the tower dive here because I think it's a pretty easy kill. Which it is. Gangplank blows flash, which is really nice for me. Like I said, I'd always trade flash for flash, but I didn't even end up needing it there. Since I was up a level and I can always just gain armor with passive, or not with my passive, with my ultimate, it's a pretty easy tower dive, especially against a squishy champion. If I was versus someone who was more tanky, like a Maokai or something, I obviously wouldn't be able to do that until I had a tank shredding item like Black Cleaver, Bork, or something. Gangplank blows ultimate, which I think in a very weird position. I don't know why he wouldn't cast it right in front of the tower where those casters were dying. Because it would have killed them faster, and it probably wouldn't have let me get the tower in that wave. So I get first blood tower. Udyr ends up dying, and I see a big fight going on. I believe I buy Phage here now, and then TP in. No, I don't TP. Or I do TP. Oh yeah, I TP by Phage. So I TP in thinking I can get at least 1, possibly 2, probably 3. I thought going for Talia would be easier here because Mord can avoid the slows on my pillar and my Q. Ends up not being the case. So she blast points here and I get an amazing pillar that blocks her right in the corner. And they give me the kill, I think A, because Udyr got rooted, and C, because... and B, because Sona just walked out. That was a really good pillar. I think ended up being a really good teleport. I lost top tower for it, which is kind of unfortunate, but I think 3 kills ends up being worth losing top tower to Gangplank, especially when he's 0-3 at the time. Here I'm 8-1, I finished Triforce, and I buy a Chain Vest. I'm going into Sunfire Cape next, so I have some armor and some health. And obviously AoE magic damage never hurt anybody, especially when you're playing Trundle, who just wants to run around in the middle of a team fight. I don't know where Gangplank is right now. I think my first instinct is that he's taking Krugs because with barrels he can just clear him really fast, but he doesn't end up taking it. So I'm like, okay, I've got Triforce, I'll just take Krugs super fast. He obviously has vision on me somewhere, so I think it's in that bush, based on how he threw those barrels. I don't see Talia here, but I'm really not worried about getting ganked. A, because I'm an 8-1 Trundle. B, because I don't think they'll be able to kill me. Gangplank runs mid. I should have pinged Mia there when I was killing Krugs, but I didn't. I'm a bad player. I think that ends up getting Cat killed. But it was mostly the Kayn. I kill Kayn here. I think I can kill Gangplank. I kill the barrel. He's got bone plating, which is kind of annoying, but the Talia shove just pushes me out. I end up chasing really hard here. Because I think I can get the kill pretty easily, which I do, and then I just walk out. I see Udyr still kind of pressuring, but I finish my base because I'm trying to tell him, hey, don't go in. And then this is where the game really starts to go right. Kayn is 9-2, I'm 10-1. 15 minutes, Udyr's counter jungling again. But I think he's going to get pushed out. Doesn't die here, thankfully. Bot's 3-9 at the moment, which is kind of unfortunate for me. And I don't ever end up getting any magic resistance for the Kayn passive, Talia, Morgana, and Kai'Sa. Which I think in hindsight was a mistake. I should have gotten a Hex Drinker or possibly Spirit Visage. Is what I end up doing because I finished Sunfire and buy Titanic Hydra. Because I think that I'm strong enough, which I still stand by. I was pretty strong here, and I thought buying Titanic Hydra would be good. Because the AQA Titanic A does a lot of damage, especially since they don't really have any tanks. So I can afford to go damage because I'm not really trying to tank shred anybody. And anybody who ends up getting any sort of tank, I'll just shred with my ultimate. Guys picks up a double kill in bot lane here, which is kind of rough based on a Talia roam. I don't have teleport, so I end up just pushing the tower, and I think Gangplank's going to end up TPing here after he takes mid tier 1. I see him TPing here, and I know I can kill him very easily. So I cast ultimate on him as soon as he comes in. Well, his teleport. I see him trying to walk up around the tower to body block me from being able to get to him, so I throw the pillar in the gap. And they flash us out, so I just take the tower and walk out. I don't know where Kayn is, so I'm kind of worried about getting killed by him, even though he doesn't have Black Cleaver. But he does have lethality, so that could be kind of a problem. Finish Sunfire here, which is really, really good, because Immolate now does double the damage of what it used to. Twitch ended up rushing Blade of the Rune King versus no tanks, so I think that was kind of a bad decision. I think going IE or BF Static Shiv would have been better. Suna's got Ardent Sensor, which I guess is kind of nice for Trundle, Udyr, Twitch, but I'm the only one who's a little bit strong. I start running bot here to go pressure. I see Talia ulting in. And so I decide to run in after her. Thinking maybe I can clear 1, 2, maybe 3 things up, but as soon as everyone dies before I get there, I just leave. I don't think that tower is worth trying to keep. Udyr's taking Rift Herald here, which is fine, I guess. I walk right into that W like a fucking ape. I flash over here to bring Kayn closer towards my allies. Plus to get away from Morg. I have to walk out of the Morg ultimate here, otherwise I get stunned. And then Katarina ends up dying. I can't kill Kai'Sa despite what I thought was going to happen. She was 10 and 5 at the time, so I just ended up dying. Udyr summoned the Rift Herald there, which I think is very, very questionable. I think he should have bear stanced right at Kai'Sa's face and we could have killed her, but we went for the Rift Herald pop and, you know, hindsight's 20/20. Bad Dragon's up, which I don't think ends up being very useful for our team, but ends up being really useful for their team. Because Talia wants to roam, Gangplank wants to roam, and obviously Kayn is a fucking monster when he's this far ahead and has Moby Boots. So, I think we want this dragon, not necessarily to get it, but to deny it from the enemy team. I don't think we end up doing it because Kayn's on it right now, and I don't remember us ever stealing any dragons. I don't think we got any dragons this game, did we? So I see Kayn and Morg, or Kayn and Gangplank on it rather. I just start to run box. I see creeps pushing in. Plus to contest our blue buff because I think they're going to head right there for it. Which ends up being the case. Kane's right here. He just lets me do it for some reason. Gangplank Blast Plant's out, so I just go to the creeps because it's not worth chasing, especially with no vision. Lost another creep there. I see bot tower is relatively low, so I don't think it's going to end up being that big of a deal to go push it. Especially because I pinged there twice that I don't want them to fight near Baron. I ping signal right on the crab location because I think they're going to lose that fight. Especially with Udyr running bot here for some godforsaken reason. I don't know why he's here. I really don't. But they end up getting caught or taking the fight or something top lane and lose the fight anyway, of course. So they go to take Baron, which means we have to push the bot inhib or else we're just going to get dicked. Gangplank ults the creep smart this time, so we end up having to tank the tower. I think let's go in. I'll tank some of the tower because I'm pretty tanky and pretty far ahead. Wait for that second wave of creeps to come up. I think this is obviously a big mistake, especially after they finish Baron because they can recall so fast. I try to tank that last shot for Udyr because I don't want him to take too much damage, especially since I have Corrupting Potion taking. I'll regen enough. There's a red buff right here, which we take on our way out, because why wouldn't you? He gives it to me, which I think is not a great call. Udyr ends up just getting killed there because of the binding, and Kane goes back for him, so I kind of have to leave him. Assuming Udyr didn't get picked there, I think putting the red buff on Udyr would have been smarter, because I already have a built-in slow in my Q, and the slow on my E, so it's relatively easy to keep up to people. The only one I really have to worry about is Morgana because of Black Shield, but I can keep up with it pretty easily. I buy T-Mat and Jarm's Fist here. I'm trying to rush Titanic so I can wave clear, because I can see that we're about to lose an inhib and I want to be able to wave clear. I go in here on Kai'Sa because I get a pretty good pillar. I was really hoping Sona was going to ult there because it was... I think they're bundled up pretty good. Oh, she ended up getting binded. I didn't see that at the time. I didn't know she was bound because like right here, that's a 4-man, well 3-man because of the Black Shield, but that's a 3-man Sona ult on Kane, Taliyah, and Morgana really easily. Holy shit! I didn't realize how hard I got popped there by that Kai'Sa passive. That's my third death of the game, unfortunately. Udyr just gets GTFO. Cat gets a kill, and then I think ends up dying here. Yeah, because she gets bound. This Morgana did a lot of work this game. The Sona ult there is fine. He gets Morgana and almost gets Taliyah, but I don't think it's great. I think it's a mistake not to just start fighting there. Gangplank flashes in, just melees him. I respawn, so I'm the only one up. Udyr's up at 2 seconds, so he'll be back. I can't stop this mid-inhib from dying, so I just go to hold. Kill the creeps and what have you. I'll let bot tower go to make sure we don't have creeps. I'd rather lose that bot tower with how far behind we are than lose damage on our Nexus towers, especially since they have Kai'Sa and Gangplank and Kane who can kill towers really quickly. I'd rather just lose the bot inhib tower than a Nexus tower from those creeps. Gangplank gets out, which with his W and his barrel slow, he gets out obviously, and I think this ends up being a massive mistake for them to chase all the way down here. This basically ends up losing us the game. I don't know why on earth he'd chase all the way down there with our bot inhib tower dead, our mid inhib dead, and absolutely no vision. I think it's an absolutely ridiculous decision to do such a thing, but it happened and we lost the game basically because of it. Twitch just gets one shot because we had no vision of where King could be coming from. Kaisa moves in on me here. I should go back to me. Kaisa moves in, but I just have to let the inhib go and defend the Nexus towers. I see Kaisa moving in, and I think she's the easiest one for me to kill. I was wrong in that assumption, but I probably should have thrown a pillar right in front of the tower to block people from coming towards me when I ran at Kaisa. The redemption here actually ended up being really big for their team. Israel was just full crit Kaisa, and she didn't do like the Death Dance Nashor's thing. Twitch's decision there to go in the back seems odd. I don't know why he wouldn't just ult from the front. Cat gets a great cleanup, which is good. And then this happens. She decides to chase instead of doing this whole thing. You know, the creeps. So we end up losing. And that's the end of the game. Thanks for listening.